Welcome to another edition of Discover Tinley, where we highlight the people and organizations in town that make Tinley Park a great place in which to live. And as we all know, Tinley Park is a pretty great place in which to live. My name is Ron Centanni. I'll be with your host today for the program, along with our volunteers from the Community Resources Commission, plus our adult, high school, college, adult volunteer, all kinds of volunteers that help put on this show for you every month. Tinley Park is the big volunteer town, so we're very fortunate we have a number of people who want to help out putting on this program. If any of you know of anybody else, anybody young person or somebody who would like to help put on these shows, let us know. We were looking for more volunteers. We'd like to have some more people help out and learn how to operate a camera or learn some of the programs and have fun working the program of the show. Just contact the Village Hall and ask to volunteer. You want to volunteer for the Community Resources Commission TV program, and be glad to have you. Thankfully, hopefully some of you would like to volunteer to help us out. Summer coming up, a lot of things happening in town here. Check the local listings for the programs, the movies, the music, all kinds of things happening in Tinley Park, the car shows, farmers market, all kinds of things happening in Tinley Park in the summertime. So keep a lookout for things to do in Tinley in the summertime. We've got some very interesting guests today. Our first guest, who has lived in Tinley Park just about all his life. Went to school here, and I happen to know him in high school and as one of the student out there. He's grown to become a very successful attorney in town here, but he also volunteers on a very important program in town here called the Crisis Center of South Suburbia. And he's a very prominent board member of that, named Dave Anders. Thanks for coming to Discover Tinley.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Crisis Center of South Suburbia. That sounds kind of ominous a little bit.
Yes.
And wish we didn't need it. But what do you guys do? What is the basic services of that?
The Crisis Center for South Suburbia is an emergency shelter for victims of domestic violence. So it provides housing for people that are in crisis at that moment on an emergency basis. That's the primary function. And that's how it started back in 1979, was through a hotline, and then provided some shelter and some relief. Now over the years, we've expanded programs and services to support those victims in other ways. And that's now, we currently operate on a $2.8 million budget, and provide dozens of different kinds of services, mostly for the victims and also in some cases for the abusers.
Wow, a lot of stuff there.
We do a lot.
Do you do housing or counseling, or talk about
Yes.
some of the housing you have there available? And
outside
how
of
do you keep people going?
right. So what the primary service is the hotline, 24/7 hotline, which is 708-429-7255. If anybody's in need, there is somebody manning those phones 24/7. That's what initiates the situation. A phone call comes in, there's a screening, and then through the screening, if necessary and if appropriate, then we provide shelter and housing for that person and or their family, depending on the situation.
Maybe give an example or two of what might prompt somebody. What would have to be going on to say you would help them out, you would need help?
Most of the time, it is going to be they are in the middle of a physical confrontation, and either have just completed one or they are in the verge of one, knowing that they're in the middle of something that's happening that is going to escalate. And that's usually when they're going to call. Occasionally they'll call in between the events and the confrontations, but a lot of times they are literally calling at an emergency situation, emergency time in their life.
Okay, and then what happens next? Then?
Well, so if we have room at the shelter, and the shelter currently houses about 35 to 38 people at any given time, it is always full. We are always at 100% capacity.
Oh my goodness!
The clients and the patients that stay there can basically stay there several months as needed, but it's typically designed. We have all the different services to now try to get them and move them forward. Some of those services, and a couple other things about the shelter itself. So we house women and children initially, and it used to be that any boys over the age of 14 were not allowed. But all the different changes in the laws and the federal funding and things have restricted, taken those restrictions out, and now the shelter is open to males, females, any age, and their children. So at any given time, we may have an individual person, we may have a person in with their children, and we then will house them. Now, on top of the emergency shelter, there's other things we do. We do counseling. We have full-time counseling services works. We have a court advocacy program that is very. We have the Bridgeview Courthouse and the Markham Courthouse.
Which means what do you do with that then?
We have people there at the courthouses that will counsel people as they are in the courthouse looking for orders of protection against their abuser. So that's those two primary services. We have housing services. So we have the emergency shelter, which is what we have locally, and then we also have transitional housing. What we've done with that is we rent and own some properties that we can then move people from once they're no longer in emergencies, but they want to stay in the program and stay in the services and try to free themselves from their abuser. We basically have a place and a system in place that we can put them somewhere for up to 2 years in this transitional housing while they try to get either a better education or learn a vocation or get a job or get themselves in a situation where they can stay safe.
Okay, wow.
In addition, we have, there's a Live Safe Patient Advocacy. We have advocates that work at hospitals. And basically they train the doctors and the emergency room personnel to, depending what they see, to be able to identify that this may be a domestic violence situation, and then could refer them to our advocates who are on site at the hospitals. We also train police departments. So we can train the police officers at any given time, and we do programs and training with them so they can understand what to be looking for, how to treat it, how to react, what to do, and obviously to be able to give the hotline number to anybody who looks like they need.
Yeah, let them know these services are available.
Right.
So some people out there may not know that kind of service is
Right.
open.
Right. We do quite a bit of community education programs. We just did one over at Zion Lutheran Church recently, where we just invite people to come out and just we do a presentation. We have people on staff that do presentations and then educate people about the shelter itself and domestic violence.
I understand you go out to the schools too.
Yes,
sometimes.
we have a Safe Start program, which is one of the prevention services that we do, and that's where you go to schools and put on a presentation. Really, it's a fairly common situation for younger people to report abusive relationships, even in the high school age, and even maybe in the junior high. So we try to educate those students what to look for and what appropriate behaviors are and actions and what are not.
Wow. Would you encourage them to, if something's going on in the family, say my mom is having a problem, wouldn't you encourage kids to make that first call even too?
Yes, and obviously you give them the education and the tools and the information to help at the family level if need be.
Okay.
So those are some of the programs. We even one last program that we do on a prevention basis was we actually go and meet with the abusers. And we have a program where we sit down with the abusers to try to get them to understand what it is that's making them tick and abuse, and how we can work with them so that they can learn skills to stop being an abuser.
Are they open to talking with you? Are they open to?
The vast majority of them are court ordered.
Okay.
Of the participants in the abuser program, but not all of them.
Okay.
And once they're in there, it's a pretty lengthy program, and once they're in there, a lot of learning takes place.
Wow. Any idea what your, I don't want to say success rate is, but how many people make it out and kind of get back on their feet again?
Well, some of the scary and troubling numbers, it typically takes a victim in a bad relationship 7 times getting abused before they actually really either come to our facility or potentially leave the.
Oh my goodness.
So that's a terrible statistic that it takes so many times they go back. So often the abuser is not just a physical, it's an economic control, social and emotional control over the victim, and they feel as though they don't have anywhere else to go. And they go back The abuser will promise that they're going to be much better this time. It'll never happen again. I love you, and they go back, and it happens again. So it often takes, the statistics are, it takes 7 times before an abused victim will actually leave and largely try to stay away. One of the great success stories we have for anybody who comes into our program and avails themselves of the counseling services and the employment opportunity programs that we have. We do help them with resumes, help them get job skills. If they go through our program and then go through our transitional housing program where they stay 2 years with their family in the transitional housing, the success rate, or the rate of 94% of those people do not go back to their abuser and or do not get back into another abusive relationship. Wow. So it tells you need a lot of time to work through all the damage that's been done to these victims. But that's a really, we kind of came up with that statistic and determined that within the last year or two, and it was just a huge eye opener that the programs are working, but they take time, and you have to stick with them.
Talking about your statistics, how many people do you kind of handle a year there?
Well, yes, we handle. I
read the statistics.
Yes. Well, in all the programs combined, because you do not have to be in the shelter in order to avail yourself of the counseling, for example. Right. But we last year we serviced over 12,000 people.
Oh my goodness.
We had a couple of hundred adults and another 150 children pass through the shelter last year as well.
Wow.
So those are the numbers that we have.
It's still scary. It's a lot. 12,000.
Yes, that avail.
Do you handle not just Tinley Park, obviously? What your kind of area do you handle?
Yes, I for the most part, we do kind of tie into the Bridgeview and Markham courthouse districts. Okay. So a lot of the South Suburban, Cook County, and we do, just because of geographically being so close to Will County, we do get into the Frankfort and Mokena area.
Oh, okay.
And then that's our primarily the South Suburbs is the area that we.
Now, how are you funded?
Well, we are funded 3 different ways. Oh. One of the ways that we are funded is through the government grants and programs that we can get funded from. That's probably maybe a third to 30 to 40%. Oh. State and federal and county assistance. We run, which is really a crowning jewel in this organization, are the Neat Repeat stores. Now, if there is a Neat Repeats in Orland and a Neat Repeats in Worth, and they are stores that donations are made of clothing. They create the stores. You shop. Any of the money from the sales of the clothes goes directly to the crisis center. Wow. They are grossing probably in excess of $1 million a year.
No.
Those 2 stores. They do fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
If you haven't been to them, they're amazing stores.
Yeah, I've donated stuff to.
They're unbelievably well run.
Wow.
And the quality of the merchandise is fantastic, and that's where we have volunteers. There's a couple of people that are on staff that run the stores, but otherwise all of the salespeople and all the help in the stores are volunteers.
So you need volunteers.
We need volunteers. We always need volunteers, as many volunteers as we can get. And primarily with the Neat Repeats is where we use the vast majority of our volunteers, is through the Neat Repeat stores. So that's another source of funding. And then obviously we have fundraisers. We have our gala every year. We have a golf outing. We have a kickoff to summer. So we have different events that we do, and through those, and then private and individual donations makes up the balance of where we get our funds.
Wow. Now, what's this board? Now, you're on a board. What is the board?
So the Crisis Center is a not-for-profit corporation that is run by a board of directors. Okay. The board of directors, the primary purpose is to just basically direct and support the work of the organization. We have an executive director who runs the day-to-day, her and her staff run the day-to-day operations, and we more or less just oversee the agency and the management and some of the big ticket things and the fundraising and the budget and all those kinds of things. We currently have 17 board members. We've really taken, we've worked really hard in the last 7 to 10 years to diversify our board. We are reaching out to all different kinds of skill sets in education to try to bring different things into our board, and we've really been working on that. We got really good professionals, accountants and realtors and retail people, and so a lawyer.
Okay,
so I wasn't a lawyer. But so that's what we do, and the board then just meets. They meet 9 times a year. The board member will serve on various committees within the structure of the board, and then we just are managing and making the big decisions on the kind of the overall management of the corporation.
Wow. Now, why did you get it? What prompted you to, and how long have you been on the board?
Well, I got on the board in 2011.
Oh, my.
And now I got involved originally when I came out here and started working. I worked with Dick Hutchison. His wife, Joan Hutchison, was very active, and she was on the board at the Christ Center back in the 80s.
Oh.
And as a good, studious employee, Mr. Hutchison said, "I want you to get involved with the Crisis Center." So I did.
Oh, geez.
So we've been supporting them as a firm and individually since I started practicing in '84, and in smaller scale. But then over the years, I got more involved with some of the golf committees, some of the other committees in fundraising, and then in 2011, they asked me to be on the. I was asked to be on the board, and I graciously accepted. Served 2 terms as president. Between 2013 to 17, I was president of the organization, and it's been wonderful.
Well, obviously you're doing a good job. It sounds like it's going very well, and serving a lot of good people, doing a lot of good services. Let's get that phone numbers one more time.
The hotline number is 708-429-7255.
Okay.
And it is 24/7. The website is Crisis Center, so it's CRISISCTR.org is the website. And you can find out a lot of things about the fundraisers, how to donate, how to volunteer, how to get involved through that website.
Wow. Well, keep up the good work. As I say, it's just fantastic what you're doing there. And I know you're going to stay on the board for a while.
I'll stay on there a little while.
They need a good attorney on the board.
That's
there,
right.
So that's good. And I've known Dave, for a long time. I was his high school counselor and I think a baseball coach too.
Baseball coach,
so,
right.
It's been tremendous knowing you, and thank you for all your service to Tinley Park and what
pleasure.
you've done for the town here. And if you need some services with the Crisis Center, please get in contact. Don't wait till that 7 times is up there.
That's right.
Go nice. Well, thanks for coming to Discover Tinley,
nice
and
to see you.
Good luck to you. Dave Anders, board member with the Crisis Center of South Suburbia. Well, it was very interesting talking to Dave Anders about some very serious things going on and with the people in town here in the area. Our next guest is something a little bit better, more service-oriented. And very important that our guest is one of the winners of the Village Scholarship Program every year. We offer $1,000 scholarships to several young people in town here. We had 4 winners this year, each winning $1,000. And every year we like to have 1 or 2 of them on to kind of show what some of the young people in Tinley Park are really like. So our guest today is a very fine young man who is also an Eagle Scout and a scholarship winner, James Subka. James, welcome to Discover Tinley.
Thank you for having me.
Wow. How did it feel winning that scholarship? What was that like?
I was very pleased by that. It was a lot of work over the years, and it's now paying off. I really appreciate the opportunity to receive that scholarship.
Wow, you must have, and you worked hard for that. I think your grade point average, over 4.0, isn't it?
Yeah, it was 4.0.
Wow, that's not bad.
It was all right.
It was all right. What do you attribute your high academic success to? What kept you motivated to do that well?
What kept me motivated during high school was the ability for me to hope for scholarships in the future so I could stay active in scouting and volunteering and just doing more community service, because that's what I love to do. So that was really my main motivation, because if I did well, my parents would allow me to stay active.
Wow. Now, what school you go to?
I go to Andrew High School.
Andrew High School. Favorite subjects?
Favorite subject? I would have to say my favorite subject would have been gym class.
Oh boy.
or microeconomics, one of the two.
Okay. Well, that's a good combination. Favorite teachers? Any good?
My favorite teacher, I have two of them, or
Okay.
three really. Unfortunately, one is no longer with us.
Oh.
Lloyd Eichwald was my all-time favorite teacher,
Okay.
but he passed last year.
Hmm.
The other two favorite teachers would have been Kelly Matusik. She was the PE teacher for lifeguarding. I work a lot with her now. And Mr. Stern, Justin Stern over at Andrew, he was my microeconomics teacher.
Wow. Well, that's kind of nice that they had a good impression on you. Briefly list some of your school activity. What kind of stuff were you doing?
School activities I was involved in. I was involved in the auto club, the bass fishing club, the aviation club. Where I was youth lead for that this year. I was in student council, National Honor Society, and swim guard.
Okay, wow. You did all that stuff?
I did.
That's a lot. And you did academics on top of that, huh?
I did.
You sleep and eat too?
I sometimes.
Well,
Sometimes.
And then on top of that, let's talk about your service stuff. Now, first of all, how many hours would you say you've devoted to service
Well,
activities?
I've logged 680 hours with the school, but since sixth grade, I estimate that I have logged over 1,000 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So
1,000 hours?
over 1,000 hours.
Oh, that's not okay.
I just wish I had logged them all.
Yeah.
Since I don't have a piece of paper saying I have exactly 1,000 hours.
Well, let's
or
talk
something
about
like that.
some. What are some of the things you did for community service hours?
So some of the things I did, every year I work a family camp at Camp Frank S. Betts with the Cub Scouts, and I'm a lifeguard up there, and that's where I found my second passion, my first passion being aviation. That has become my second passion, working with Cub Scouts, and I'm a lifeguard up there, having a great time. Really left an impression on me.
Now, what do you do? What kind of stuff do you do?
Well, as a volunteer up there, we're kind of a jack of all trades. So sometimes I'll have me working in the kitchen, but most of the time I'm a lifeguard. I'm an entertainer.
Entertainer.
Yes.
What do you do for
Well,
entertainment?
sing, dance.
Oh, my.
Get the Cub Scouts having a good time. Make sure that that they're always having fun.
Should we do that here? No?
I don't know if we have enough space here.
Okay. Maybe next time we'll have
Maybe
you. We'll do
next
it-
time when we do it outside.
do a performance.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my goodness. And what other activity? What other service stuff have you done?
I've done. I was a leader for the National Youth Leadership Training at Camp Betts as well. I was a assistant senior patrol leader, which is just an assistant to the head guy, and that was just teaching peers my age how to be leaders and how to really run an effective Boy Scout troop.
Wow, sounds good. And talk about you've got how many merit badges have you got?
I have 66 merit badges.
66.
66.
What does it take to be an Eagle Scout?
21.
Oh, get out of here!
Yes.
And you got 66.
Yes.
Okay, you don't eat and sleep. No, I'm sorry.
I do not.
Let's talk about some of the things that you've done. What are some of those merit badges for? And then we'll end up with your favorite one.
All right. So some of these merit badges, we got first aid here, swimming, cooking, salesmanship, aviation, life saving, railroading merit badge, recycling. You just got a bunch of
things.
All these silver ones here are Eagle required, so every single one of these I had to have, in addition to having, I believe, 5 of these green borders.
Okay, and your favorite one is?
My favorite one would have been the aviation. It actually left a big imprint on me, and that's what I'm planning on doing for school.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, all this service stuff, what does it mean to you? Why do all this service stuff? What does it mean to you to do that kind of stuff?
Doing all the service stuff means a lot to me. I mainly do it because I had that. Someone gave me that experience when I was doing it in Cub Scouts, and that's the original reason why I started. And then now I've really just grown. It's become my passion. So.
What do you gain from that? What's it?
I don't know how to put it. I mean, it's such a rewarding feeling just having Cub Scouts. Come back every year, know your name. I mean, one of them appreciated my volunteerism so much that they came up to me and just gave me a hug out of nowhere. Oh, and that was unexpected.
That's worth everything.
That was worth everything.
Oh wow! Why should young people think about doing service? What would
young
you
people
suggest?
should really get into service because it gives so much to the community. It prepares you for your job. It prepares you for life. It prepares you for school. It's given me so many social skills, leadership skills. It's really just been an amazing experience.
Wow. So you'd recommend it to other young people?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Who's been an inspiration to you over the years?
An inspiration, that would have to be my Scoutmaster.
Oh, wow.
My Scoutmaster, Fred Fleischman. He was my Scoutmaster for pretty much the entire time I was a youth in Boy Scouts. And he's an Eagle Scout himself. He was very passionate about scouting, and that's what really made me get into community service.
Wow. Now, what was your project, your Eagle project?
My Eagle project was I built 4 rolling carts for the Pediatric Oncology Treasure Chest Foundation in Orland Park. And what they do is they give toys to kids with cancer. And these carts help them assemble gift baskets at a faster rate instead of having them get up to get materials. It was sitting right next to the volunteers.
Oh, my. And when did you do that? Now, when did you get your Eagle Scout?
I got my Eagle Scout in 2015.
Oh, my.
So
How old were you when you got
I was 14.
That's unusual, isn't it?
It's a little young.
Yeah, it's very young. Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you.
At 14 years old, you get the Eagle Scout. That's beautiful. And you're still with the scouting then, huh?
Absolutely.
Now, what's your future plans? What do you want to do now? Now, where do you think about going to school?
I have committed to Lewis University in Romeoville.
All right. And what do you want to do?
I want to be a pilot.
A pilot?
Yeah.
Wow. What made you even think about doing something
Well,
like
the
that?
aviation merit badge really set it in stone, but I had met a friend who was in scouting back in 3rd grade, and I started hanging out with him, having a good time with him, and then his dad happened to be a Southwest pilot. And so he brought us out to the airport to fly his little airplane, and that's what really started the fire.
Oh, my. And what do you hope to do then? Go commercial flying?
Yeah, I want to be a commercial pilot.
Oh, my God, these big airplanes, huh?
Yes.
Oh, my. Okay, you ready for all that? That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. I've already started with it. So.
Oh, have you? What have
Yes.
you done?
I'm working on my private pilot's license,
Okay.
so you probably see me above Tinley at some point.
Oh, have you done solo yet?
I've not soloed yet. I've been
Okay.
working on it.
Oh, wow.
I think I got another 10 hours before I can solo.
Okay. I look back, I did that much. I started taking lessons when I was in the Air Force. I got to the soloing thing. About halfway through the pilot license, they sent me overseas, so I couldn't finish it. I never finished my
bad.
private license, so I wish you luck in finishing your private license there too. So continue on with the good work. Very good. Well, congratulations on the beautiful work you've done. Your letters of recommendation made you an outstanding young man, and this is a good example of some of the nice young people we have in Tinley Park. So I wish you all the luck in the world. Keep up the good work, and hang in there, and keep flying.
All right, I will.
Fly high.
All right.
Outstanding young man, James Subka of Tinley Park, going to be a pilot in the future, so watch your airline and look for his name on the board there for coming in there. Thanks for watching Discover Tinley, and we'll see you next month.